the King, Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? That's aura based on service. So this ain't just about clout. We just naming people that's famous and shit like that. But you know, it just hit different. It hit different, chat. I've been watching some really interesting podcasts lately, bro, and seeing some very interesting documentaries. And then I've been having all this time off stream. Boy, have I had some interesting things that I've learned. One of them being the Playboy documentary, and then I was seeing one earlier today talking about trauma and what people think trauma is and is not, and people just have go through uncomfortable things and call it trauma. Trauma is not the same thing, and really put definition on words. I'm gonna cut through the chase. The interesting part of that podcast I seen today, bro, is the guy was like, let me think. I'm gonna word this properly. Hey, Day, what's good, Day? What was the most interesting part, bro? I'm trying to think, bro. He made this point about being in the world but not of the world, and that having to do with how what people identify with, because they were having a conversation about self-esteem and how childhood trauma leads people to look for validation, and that it's not a matter of who you look for validation from. It's the problem that you look for validation at all. Now, people want to be validated. We do. But by who and from who? It needs to be you at the end of the day. And you have to unlearn the shit you learned as a child to not disappoint your parents, to not disappoint people and people's expectations. That's actually not normal and not healthy. Your parents were supposed to make you feel accepted for being alive, for being a child. You were supposed to be validated just for being a child, right? And then at a certain point, though, that would create independence for you to think for yourself, to make decisions on your own, to fail on your own, and be able to pick yourself up. Sounds kind of harsh, right? But with that being said, that would create a person, because they were talking about what's the most ideal person who has self-esteem and his choice. Would they be able to come into the world and not succumb to what the world is based on? Beauty standards, validating yourself with money, validating yourself with status. You know how society is ran. Would they be able to come into the world with their self-esteem and maintain that? And he was like, they've done research on that. And that person can come in the world but not be of the world. And they would not submit or adopt the ideologies that are circling around them, because they can separate the difference between what they do and who they are. They can separate the difference between their job and not identify with their job. I think this is honestly pretty normal. And when I remember went to Spain, chat, right? I remember I went to Spain, and the average income a year was $20,000. We at this corner store, I really want to get my Spanish back, bro, because I love the fact that I have the potential to be bilingual, and I was at some time, but it just got weaker over the years, just learning other things, just how it worked, right? I remember I went to that what they their little corner store. They making there was nothing on the menu was in English. Nobody in there spoke English. I'm like, oh fuck, like I'm in the trenches, like what I mean? So, but it was so thorough because nobody gave a fuck. Who the fuck are you? What do you want? Nobody gave a fuck, bro. You're not like, who cares? What do you want to eat? You know what I'm saying? People chat with each other. They sitting outside. It's sunny. They eating their food. They minding their business, gang. Like, live your life. And it wasn't this necessary, like, superficial as what he got on. What are they doing? What the culture difference was just so authentic. And that's just how things really can be and should be. We live a little bit differently. People, what you wear. If somebody said, what do you define? How do you define aura? What would you call aura? I think that's an interesting question. And mind you, chat, you can live like that and think like that and still be around superficial people. It's just the fact that you dance to your own beat. You move to your own music. So it's like I could be around a bunch of people, right? Having a diamond chain, diamond rings, dressing the way I like, but not be doing it because I feel a need to fit in with them, because I feel a need to validate myself to them, or feel the need to defend myself. It talked about what true vulnerability is. And vulnerability, the psychologist, he defined it as, I'm going to tell y'all, Trader Don, I appreciate the 22 months. This was interesting to me too, chat. He said he defined validation literally when he looked at the context of where the word originates from. Vulnerability is the capacity to be hurt. Y'all hate how I say vulnerability, and I don't give a fuck, bitch. Vulnerability is the capacity to be hurt. And that what people do around that is they get defensive, right? So you feel the need to defend yourself. What are you trying to protect? Defend yourself from what? Right? So when you're afraid of vulnerability is just embracing being hurt or embracing things that would have you be hurt versus avoiding them, defending yourself from them, and shit like that, right? So to continue on that point, right? Here I go with the vulner. Y'all know what the fuck I'm saying. So act like it and stay on the fucking topic. Are you 6 years old? Are you fucking 6 years old? I don't give a fuck. Vulnerability. Is the fucking vulnerability dictionary finna pop up in my bathroom right now and correct me on how I say it? Is it? So shut the fuck up. Okay, look, this is what I'm saying, bro. Like I was saying, chat. Vulnerability is a capacity to be hurt. Capacity to be hurt, right? So when you stop defending yourself and stop protecting and start embracing that shit that has you hurt, that is the door to growth. Because instead of being vulnerable, you know what people do? They try to be right. Because if you're right, then you don't have to change anything. Chad, when I heard that, I was like, damn. That shit, I don't know. That, like, I'm telling you, we could finish that podcast. I could put it on. We could watch it from the beginning, later in the stream. But that just, some of the interesting things. The Playboy documentary has been very interesting to learn about and watch. Y'all know about Hugh Hefner. Y'all always thinking of big pimping, bad bitches and all that. So that's all y'all know about Playboy. But y'all really didn't know how much substance and depth the brain had and how much it changed the course of the history of the United States. Potential YouTube video drop. That's some good substance. I'm not gonna lie, Chad. That's good substance, bro. It's real good substance. How do you focus on your vulnerability? It's not something you focus. It's something you allow. You have to allow yourself to be wrong, because there's nothing wrong with being wrong. Again, it's just a matter of fact that you have convinced yourself that you have something to defend or protect, or something to prove, or something to hold. That's you. That's when you get triggered. That shit is personal. And I'm telling you, that has been some of the most mentally, changing things. That he made this point that, it's not your responsibility for how somebody feels. So over time, what we get trained to do is sugarcoat how what we truly want to say, or beat around the bush for what we want to say, because we know it may make a person feel worse, or it might make an uncomfortable situation, or they might not like what we had to say. And in reality, that is not normal. That's not normal, because it leads to inauthenticity. So now you're inauthentic for the sake of maintaining that relationship, when in reality, it will make the relationship stronger to test if you can be authentic and if they can deal with it. Because guess what, chat? It's very healthy for you to say, I don't want to go. I'm tired. I don't feel like going. I know it's the family reunion. I don't feel like going. I don't want to come to the cookout. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go. That's normal and that's healthy. But when you say, I have to go, I don't want them to feel no kind of way and think it's weird. Now you're bringing a version of you that doesn't want to be there, which is, it's easier to be resentful. It's easier to bear negative emotions towards the people you're being around. That opens the door for a lot of negative shit. Meanwhile, you leave with that authenticity. You let go of the responsibility to try to please the other person. You let go. It never was meant to be your responsibility. It's something that was trained to you as a child that you have to heal and work on. Something that I became conscious of. Anyone communicating to say, you know what? You know what the best thing to do is, chat? You know what the ideal thing to do is? You have just your responsibility to control how you say it, what you say, why you're saying it, and your actions as an individual. It's not your responsibility for how that person feels. It's also your responsibility to say what's most true to you. Cougar Killer, I appreciate the 12 months. I can't control. I can't control how it makes you feel, but maybe I can say it better. I don't have to yell it. I don't have to make it aggressive. And maybe I can set the tone, and say, hey, I have to say this. You might not like this, but I need to say it because I can't ignore my truth. And then you say what you want to say. If that makes you feel better, you could be as cold to just say it as it is. But it is your responsibility to say what's most true to you. Because, chat, let's be honest. We all know what happens when we don't speak our mind, when we don't say what's true to us. We leave with this heavy, uncomfortable feeling. We leave with it still on our heart, in our mind. It rots. It eats us alive. We all know what that feel like, bro. We all know what it's like when we just dodge the bullet or we beat around the bush. We all know what that shit feel like. That shit is unhealthy. It weighs on you. And the argument that the psychologist was making is that was never your responsibility to put yourself in that position. Your responsibility is to say what's most true to you. Guess what, chat? It's a win-win situation. I'm going to tell you the reason that make the most sense to me. When you say what's most true to you and you're wrong, there's only one way to find out. By being wrong. And you can't be wrong unless you speak up. If you're wrong, then you can be corrected. Now you're better because you're closer to the truth, or now you have a moment of improvement. So, okay, let's say you speak up and you were actually wrong. How you gonna know you're wrong until you speak up? Number two, you have something worth saying that the other person does not know and they need to hear. You don't do them any service not saying it because it is true to you. So you never make it any less true by ignoring it. I'm telling you, when you think about standing on business and speaking up, it's a win-win situation, really. And that discomfort you feel and inability to do it and avoid doing it, it's not healthy. It's been trained in you since a child because, again, you've made it a responsibility to deal with people's emotions. And mind you, emotional intelligence is not about manipulating and dictating people's emotions. It's about being conscious and aware that it's better ways to say the same thing. But you can never ignore the truth of what you have to say. Like some things are just, it is what it is. Personally, it bothers me when you call me that name. I don't like that, to be honest. Oh, come on, man, it's just a nigga. No, but you can't tell me how to feel about it. I don't like it. That's a very healthy conversation right there. It's not an argument. It's not being disrespectful. And it really should expose, maybe the other person didn't know you felt that way. Maybe they don't deserve to even be around you if they're not going to respect how you want to be treated. Win-win situation, chat. It's a win-win situation. No, for real, this is a real helpful topic. I'm glad, it gave me epiphanies and moved me in a way I wanted to bring it to y'all. See what y'all thought about it. You know what I'm saying? Because being unapologetically authentic, we kind of put this narrative on it that another person being uncomfortable is a bad thing. Being wrong is a bad thing. Being rude is a bad thing. Or being, the balloon popper in the room. Oh, here come the mood killer. Well, how about it needs to be said? It's worth saying. That's what I've truly began to accept about being honest, chat. It's worth saying. It's worth it. Oh, this person ain't gonna like it, but it's worth it. Oh, they gonna feel this kind of way. It's worth it. It's worth it. Think about how the fact we could literally get to a society where we are not mature enough to give people the freedom to feel how they want to feel. Think about that, chat. You bite your tongue. You beat around the bush. You just neglected that person's ability to deal with how you feel. Or to, accept it or reject it or say, fuck you. I'm gonna wait for the ads. Bro. Oh, best believe we're gonna be locked in every day, chat. I got my voice back, nigga. I got my voice back. You better believe we about to be locked in. Oh my God, I couldn't wait. Y'all can tell I've been watching shit that's been interesting and learning and reading shit. Nigga, I couldn't wait. Oh, I couldn't wait to start chatting again. I told you I'm a D1 professional chatter because I got shit that's worth talking about, in my opinion. If you think so, you might agree, you might listen. And if you don't, bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? You mean? Post this vibe. I need some more TikTok. I got you. You gotta have a strong mind for shit like this. It takes time. It only takes time because you're not allowing yourself to be authentic. I tell you, it's literally something you let go. Like, fuck it. I gotta say it. Like, fuck it. Mom. Yo, you know what I've also understand, chat? You know what I also understood? I literally said this to my own mother. I put it on my life. I literally asked her. I said, do you want me to listen or do you want my true opinion? Why? Because, again, I'm not going to just force what I have to say. I asked her. I genuinely asked her. And that was one of the most healthiest moments for me as an adult, bro. Is to literally let it be known that I feel a certain way on a topic that was being discussed. And once she said yes, what I had to say was it had to be accepted or not. You know what I'm saying? I just knew I had to let it out. It's most honest to me. You have to literally learn and teach yourself, chat, that if it's true to you, it's worth being said. Why? Because we all agree that when you ignore it, that shit eats you alive. It sits on your mind. It doesn't go away. So you gotta do something about it. African parent won't have that until you change it. You know why? I feel like our parents haven't been able to deal with it or accept it because they couldn't do it to their parents. And then their parents couldn't do it to their parents. And mind you, you know why y'all say such and such parent won't have that? Because maybe they have so much trauma built up that their defensiveness and their inability to be vulnerable and change the cycle of like that parent-child relationship has never been challenged. It's very uncomfortable and difficult. And what you might see is that by you challenging it, they are so far gone. It's like, fuck. Holy shit. You know what happens then? You start to see, God damn, I see where I get my problems from. And God damn, I'm seeing the root of the problem. And God damn it, I see I don't want to become that. So it'll be an enlightening moment for everybody. Hopefully for everybody. But for you might see it played out. I told you that girl I was on the phone with, her ego started tripping and she was so triggered. It allowed me to sit back and just listen. And allowed me to sit back and say, because this is what you realize. When something triggers a person, it's personal. I can say the same statement and 10 people feel 10 different ways. So it's very personal when somebody gets triggered. There's nothing you can control about that. All you can do is speak on what is and allow them that freedom. Because guess what, chat? It's a mutual thing. Let's say I keep it real, right? This is what I wanted to say before the ads came on. Let's say I keep it real. I'm honest about something that makes me very uncomfortable or it just needs to be said, but it's true to me. At that point in time, I now allow the other person to say what's true to them. Let me give an example. Right? I'm dressing a certain way. And you know what's crazy? People have no problem showing you no mercy, but you always supposed to be the person that bites your tongue. Fuck that shit. I'm dressing a certain way. They feel some kind of way. They insert their opinion. You know what? That's their right. That's their right. That's their responsibility. They can genuinely tell me what's most honest to them. I don't like them clothes. I don't like how you're dressing. Respectfully, they can do that. They can do that. I can't stop them from doing that. But guess what? They can't stop me from saying, I don't give a fuck. That's my right too. My right, I can ask why. Why don't you? I can say, fuck you. That's my right too. And I can also say, thank you for telling me. You know, I don't have to be triggered. I don't have to be defensive. There's nothing to defend. Why do I feel the need to protect and defend myself? I accept what I'm doing. I stand on it. That's all right with me. And if it's not all right with that other person, it's a very mature place to sit back and say, it triggered them because of what they personally think. Not what I think, because of what's personal to them. So it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. 80 TV, I appreciate it 6 months. You know, when a person gets triggered, you got to realize how personal it is. It has nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with you at all. It triggers them based on what's personal to them. Not your responsibility to deal with that. Not your responsibility to avoid it, to be afraid. It's none of your, it literally is none of your business. It might even trigger some growth in them when you start being authentic. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, Chad, when I'm just thinking about these things, I find them interesting. I find that it made me think differently. I find that it made me look at things differently. If it has to, y'all, let's have a discussion about it. You know what I'm saying? I find this shit interesting. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? This is what y'all think about it. And again, I know it can be ugly. I gave y'all an example. I literally was having a conversation with my mom, and I asked her, I said, do you want my genuine opinion, or do you just want me to listen? And my mom is so mature and in a better space with her personal self that she said yes. And we just had a conversation. And then the phone call with I love you. It didn't have to be nasty, ugly. Well, F you. And come on, man. And if it got to that, then to me, it was worth it. If my authenticity triggered that, it was worth it. But it didn't, you know, because that's how it can go when you're dealing with somebody who is ready to listen. And if you are also ready to listen, because you might be the problem. What if I'm the problem? It's only one way to find out. By being real. Because then, you know, now everything can be exposed. Oh shit, I'm tripping. You know, but I can never have that reflection if I'm not ready to be exposed. You know what I'm saying? Because like what I said in the beginning of this conversation, chat, vulnerability is the capacity to be hurt. So the more you embrace being hurt, the more you can grow. Because the opposite of that is defending yourself, protecting yourself, and being right. Because when you're right, we all know people start gaslighting, they be in denial, they start lying to themselves. You know why? Because as long as they're right, they never have to change. You know, as long as they're right, then nothing's wrong. You see what I mean? So this is why people who get narcissistic or develop those coping mechanisms, they are delusional, they are stubborn, and they become like that. Because as long as they continue to convince themselves they're right, then they don't have to change anything. That's why. You know what I mean? Bro, no glaze, the amount of eyes you open and minds you like it's unreal. I hope I am, bro. I hope I am. My belief is that, you know, I can say something that means something that makes a difference. And that's what I have to do as a person with my platform on the internet and enjoying life. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I do. You know what I mean? So to be authentic is to say fuck the lies and making others uncomfortable and be true. No, to be authentic is just to stand by what's true. You don't have to do none of the extra shit. Again, like I said, it was never your responsibility to worry about how it makes the next person feel. That's their responsibility. Because think about it. Isn't it? Don't you have to control your emotions? Don't you have to deal with your emotions and what you feel, what you think? You feel me? So it's personal to you. They also have that same right. It's just that sometimes we avoid the reaction that we know we're going to get. We avoid that reaction because we don't want to deal with it. But guess what? It's worth it. If that's the cost or the price you have to pay for saying what's true to you, it's worth it. You got to know it's worth it. To me, that has what made uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable truths so normal to me, because I'm like, you know what? It's worth everything that come with it. Because me lying to myself doesn't make it go away. Me avoiding it doesn't make it go away. It don't. It get heavier on you. The cloud get darker. The reality get more depressing. Y'all know how that go, chat? That rabbit hole is very predictable. You tell me if it isn't. And maybe you need to experience a little bit more to life. Y'all know what it's like to resent somebody, to hold something against them that they don't know about and to hate them for it. Man, that shit is personal to you. They don't even know. They might not even know. They might not even care. Damn, that shit kills you on the inside. They might not know. They might not care. You the one that's walking around with that shit. It's only one way to be free. Express. Let it out. Let them deal with what they feel with. Let them deal with it, what they feel with it. This your responsibility. That's not your responsibility how they feel. It's not your responsibility. So we can actually watch this podcast if y'all want to. And I can show y'all the clip. I've been actually watching this guy for like a couple years now. But his stuff been popping back up on my stuff. I really want to buy some of his books soon. Let's watch. All right, first. All right, bet. All right, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna try to find this clip first. I just saved it the other day. Where the fuck was this clip? Give me a second, chat. Maybe they didn't let me save it. Maybe I liked it. Hold on. I gotta find the chat. I know for a fact. Got it. I got the clip.
Tykwondoe.
Pegasus, I appreciate the 31 months, man. I got the clip. Now we can look at. I'm gonna pull up the podcast. I just watched it earlier, so it should be right here. Yes, right here.
Tweet.
Okay. All right. So look, this was the clip, right?
I'm not responsible for how you feel.
All right, you ready?
I'm not responsible for how you feel. I'm responsible for how I act, how I speak, what I do, and what I say. I'm not responsible for how you feel in response. When you were in Vancouver and you contacted me.
I hate that they make this music so loud. Monte from the city, I appreciate it 3 months. Can y'all still hear him? Can y'all still hear him? See, somebody already know his name. All right, so listen. Kinda. Okay. Okay, what he just said was, it's not my responsibility for how you feel. None of that. It's my responsibility for how I act, what I say, stuff like that. And he said, when you were in Vancouver and you wanted to see me, and I didn't feel like seeing you because I slept all night.
I say, because I was up with some other dude looking after somebody. And if I had said yes, I'd still come and make you for coffee. Because I'd fear of disappointing you. And because I didn't want you to feel disappointed. What would that have meant for me? It would have meant for me more fatigue. And probably I would have resented the hell out of you. If I said,
so right there, I got the music loud. I don't even remember the music being this loud. This is crazy. But what he was saying is like, if you invited some, basically like, if a person invited you somewhere and you was tired of shit because you was up late doing something, maybe it was important to you, or taking care of somebody or some shit, whatever you was doing for your life. And instead of telling them like, hey, I'm tired, I don't feel like coming, you go to make them feel comfortable or to, appeal to them to not disappoint them. Basically any situation where you sacrifice yourself to not disappoint the next person. He's questioned, what would that have meant for you? More fatigue, because you already was tired coming out of the night before. And then you would have resented the hell out of the person because you don't want to be here genuinely. And you just went against what was true to you. Now the next part he about to say.
if I was authentic,
He said, if I said no, and if I was authentic, and
I said, look, Jay, I'm sorry. I still value your time, but I was up all night. Now if you had felt hurt and perceived yourself as rejected by me, that's not on me.
So I think y'all heard that. They turned the music down a little bit. But basically he said, like, if you told a person no and authentically said it, and that other person felt rejected by you, that's not on you.
That's your interpretation of my behavior.
That person's interpretation of your behavior is on them. Think about that shit, chat. You say something, you do something. However that person interprets it is on them. That's none of your business. That's not your responsibility. We always try like, oh damn, I want this person to think this. I want them to feel like that. I don't want them to, be bothered by this. And fuck it, if they interpreted it in a negative way, that's on them. That's personal to them. You can try to control that and then create an inauthentic version of yourself. Play to that disappointment. It's a recipe for disaster, though. You're never gonna hear this over the music. The Swollen, I appreciate the 9 months.
Dojo, most inconsistent streamer.
Tell me when you find him. Where's he at? I don't see him, man. I don't see him. Must not be on the screen right now.
That's your interpretation of my behavior. Nothing to do with me. I just said what was true for me. So, but that fear of disappointment.
It's nothing to do with me. I just said what was true for me. Like really dumbing it down and bringing it back that simple. Like taking away all those fears and doubts and concerns you putting on your mind when you're thinking of talking to another person or communicating. That shit was never meant to be there.
And I've been afraid to disappoint you because I don't want to lose your friendship, and I don't want to lose your friendship. But if I believe that if I'm authentic, I'm going to lose Jay's friendship, that's going to keep me inauthentic. And you never know me. I'm not responsible for it.
So basically, it ended with if I started to be inauthentic or fake because I didn't want to lose your friendship, or I started going against my truth or what was authentic to me. Now, you'll never really know who I really am as a person because I'm not really being with you as a friend, as a holistic, honest version of me. I'm with a version of me that I think you like, that I think makes me more acceptable, that I think makes me fit in more. So the other person doesn't even know you truly, and then you end up losing yourself. Y'all know how that shit go, man. It's just an uncomfortable fit. Y'all said y'all wanted to watch the podcast. This is perfect because now I get to finish it. My job is so cool. I love my job, chat. I'm glad y'all interested in shit like